Well, how's it going, everybody? I was down here making some dragon weights because I had to replace some that I lost the other day. But I have had a few people ask me how I put them together and stuff, and there's a bunch of them out there on the market, and they're pretty good ones too. It's just as much as I go through them, it's hard for me to justify spending all that kind of money. So I'm going to show you a little bit of how I make mine. They work for me. I don't care what you buy on the market. If you're dragging the bottom of a river, you're going to get hung up. You're going to lose them. And the best way for me to keep a good stock of them and actually make them the way I want to. A lot of places, you're hard pressed to find weights that are 5 ounces, 6 ounces, and like I said, sometimes I even drag 8 ounces depending on the current. But anyway, I'll go over a little bit of how I make it and some of the tools that I use to put it together. I guess first things first is I'll go over the weights that I pour, which are these are 5/16 outside diameter. And it's funny, this is an old finesse drop shot weight mold that I bought a while back, and I was making weights and stuff like that for the bass fishermen friends of mine. But anyway, the only thing that I did is I took the biggest cavity that went deep enough, and I drilled out I just used a 5/16 drill bit, and then I drilled it out. So what I end up with is when I pour my lead, is I end up with a weight just like this. And they're roughly, I'd say they're about an ounce, maybe ounce and an eighth. They're roughly about an ounce. It just depends on how long you let it fill up in the top. It depends on how close they are to an ounce. But I just consider them to be an ounce. Some of them are a little bit heavier, some are a little bit lighter. So by the time you get them in there, you'll end up with the weight you want. The next thing I got is just 3/8 heat shrink, and for the 5 ounces, which I like dragging a lot. Of course, I've got everything marked out on my table here, so it's a lot quicker. But this is about 16 inches long, and it's even my 6 ounces, you just add that length to this, and then pretty soon you'll be up 17, 18, 19 inches depending on how much weight you want. Now the front of it that I use, which is, I've seen some, they're just straight. They're probably filled with foam or something like that on top to keep them straight. But I use this. This is a 3/8 outside diameter airline is what it is, and it's fairly cheap. I think I get this. I think it's like maybe 17, 18 cents a foot. And of course I get it. I don't know if y'all have Rural Kings where you're at, but I get it at Rural King, and I buy it by 50-foot rolls. And it works out great. and in theory, what it does is when it's inside there, it creates like a little ramp. So that way, if it's going over a structure, stuff like that, it has a better opportunity to, already hit it at an angle and then come up over it. That's a thought in my head. It seems to work because I drag a lot of rocky areas. I drag a lot of places that have, structure trees, stuff like that. And again, you're never going to get every one of them through there. So, but I think this helps just a little bit, and it helps me fish some of the spots that a lot of people will go past because there's too much down there. And dragging for me the last couple of years has been the key for catching fish. And but anyway, so I'll show you guys how to put this stuff together. So you're going to need, like I said, this is about 16 inches heat shrink. These are about 8 inches, and then of course your sinker slides, which that's no big secret. A lot of people use that to attach it. And then it's just as simple as what I do. What I start off with is I'll take this tube, and I've already put a little bit of lube on this. And a funny thing about it, what I use is I got some peanut oil. So I dip it in there. You can probably see the little bit coming off, but it just makes the slide in a little bit easier. So all I do, just put it in, push it all the way down. You take a little stick because you want to kind of push it past the top part about an inch. So I just push it down a little bit further, and I got roughly about an inch here. But like I was saying, you push down for about an inch, and then that way you can go ahead and attach your sinker slide, which is super simple because it's about the same width as this is, as the circumference of this 3/8 heat shrink. And essentially all you're doing is you're just kind of push it in to where it looks about like that. You're just pushing it in just a little bit, just where you can see the little top of the plastic piece sticking out. Find a lighter here. Then all I do is I take it, then I just heat it up until it completely goes around it and kind of, you know, obviously shrinks to it just like that. Now I've got this void here from where it stops. So what I typically do is I'll just hold the back of this and I'll hold the top of this and I'll push it forward. So you can see how now it's pushed up closer towards the sinker slide. And of course, that's what it looks like. And then then after that, it's just as simple as I've got 5 weights here, which for me that's 5 ounces. And I just push them in. Then I always make these just a little bit longer because you want to seal that bottom weight. So you'll have that bottom weight and a little bit of leftover there. So when you seal it, and you just kind of close it off there at the end. And I just take a pair of scissors and I'll cut it just beyond it. So now it's sealed inside there, so that way this is not going to fall out. And then, like I said, there's the finished product. That's kind of what it looks like. And like I said, it's been working for me. And that way, and see, the great thing about it too is if depending on what the current is, I can adjust this, right? So I can come down here, and you've seen how fast it was for me to make one of these. So if I know that the current for the next 3 or 4 days is going to be a little bit higher, I'll come down here and I'll make me some heavier weight, 6, 7, 8 ounces. If I know it's going to be a little bit less, almost no current, then I may back this up, you know, to 3 to 4 ounces. But it's all about, you know, what your preference is. And of course, my preference, as you all know, is a little bit heavier weights because I don't know if it makes a huge difference, but I know for me it's worked. So, but yeah. So that's how I make my dragon weights. So this is going to be one of the first how-to videos of the stuff that I make. Next, I'll go over how I make my planer board and stuff like that, which is funny because in my planer boards, I literally only have probably $10 in a set. So you know, I'll go over that, and if you guys really want to see that, I'll make it sooner rather than later. But yeah, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.